and I'll send it to you afterwards in case we need it. But the thing that's going to happen is I'm going to have these investor groups that get together and allow them to fractionally buy this income real estate, and they can buy, you know, a third of it or 10% of it or whatever. But the idea is that all of the more seasoned people are mentoring some of the beginner or the baby investors, and teaching them how to do contracts, teaching them how to look for houses, teaching them how to, you know, the process of advertising the property, prepping it, you know, photographing it, doing a page for each property so that when the old tenants are moving out, the new tenants can look at an ad. You don't have to wait to get the tenant's junk out to advertise the property. And I'm going to share my screen with you really quick. And I'll show you one of these. Okay, here's a kind of a data sheet for this little house that you're looking at.
Okay.
So this is the property on First Street in Oilton, Oklahoma.
Gotcha.
And then we have acquisition costs of 54.9. I thumbnailed the closing costs or whatever.
Yeah, that's about right.
Some rent expense. The idea here is, you know, this is the total nut that it's going to cost to get into the property.
Okay.
What happens is we have 10% of the property that's going to be called a founder's share. Or you could look at that as a managing partner share. And what that means is whoever's in this deal setting it up, and like you and I are talking about this deal right now, you and I are the founders. We're finding the property, we're putting it together, we're making sure that, you know, we get the people, you know, involved. And what I'm going to do for you, Caleb, is if you want to get involved in this deal, you and I are going to split the founder share.
Okay.
So you're going to get 5% of the deal just by being involved in it. Okay.
Okay.
And so then what we do is we divide by 9, and that gets us a share price right here.
Okay.
So it's the total cost divided by 9 because we're giving 10% away
gotcha.
to the founders or the managing partners. And I'll explain more about that later. But so each 10% share is $6,466. So right now I have me and my wife in here in the first 4 positions. I have this other investor and his wife for 2 positions. And then I have another guy and his wife that want to take 7, 8, and 9. So this property is fully booked.
Okay.
And I have a baby investor who is a buddy of mine that has cancer. His daughter is, I'm probably going to let her take one of these 10th from me and Luann to put Cassidy in there and allow her to get her money in and working. Is all that making sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. So and I'm going to switch off of this for now. We'll go back to it later if we need to, but the founder share is a responsibility position. That's why you get free money. Okay. So at any time, you know, you and I are going to be responsible for, you know, are the taxes being paid? Is the escrow account, you know, there to make sure that the insurance gets paid? Is that policy being paid? You know,
Yeah.
Are we communicating to the other investors about what's going on? You know, are we dealing with the legal things about the corporation and the disbursement of funds out of the corporation? And you know, we're basically holding the corporate meeting for the LLC, and letting the shareholders know, hey, look, you're making, X amount of money, like in this case. The thumbnail is, you think that it's going to rent for 600 here.
Mm-hmm.
The Hope for Homes under promise estimate is going to be, we rent it out for 525.
Okay.
And the idea on these rental properties for us as we manage them is we have better than average homes that are higher than normal quality and lower than market price rents. And that allows us to go out into the community and get the very best renters that are available. Highest credit score, highest job history, highest interview, highest rent history, all that kind of stuff. So we end up rewarding those people with really good backgrounds and good credit and good people by giving them a better than average rent house for less money.
Yeah.
So we cut out all the meth dealers and all the people who are going to not pay the rent and need to be kicked out or whatever. And we manage the thing in such a way where, if the fridge goes out, we get them a new one. Whatever they need us to take care of, we take care of it. And so if we look at, the expenses I've got here for estimate taxes, insurance, management fee, and, that can be you as well, taking the management fee since you live down there. A maintenance escrow for, stuff that might happen to the house. We escrow some of that money away to get ready for some repairs or whatever. So we've got a total expenses of $235 and a net profit per month of $289.93. And so the idea is that we don't involve banks in any of our transactions.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have debt service that we have to pay to some bank. And what our mission is to acquire these properties and then manage them in such a way that the owners group, like you, your wife, my kids, people that we know that are involved in these investment groups and these houses, everybody has to invest in the learning and the running of the business. So we end up running a fleet of these houses in a way that's really responsible. And there's a very small chance that we ever lose our investment because we don't have a bank that's lording over us and is going to take our house because we're behind on payments. Worst case scenario is, our investors are just not going to get paid for a couple of years. Maybe we have to rent the house for $300 a month because something happened with the market, but we're going to get the best renter in Oilton to pay $300 a month. And when all these other renters are losing their homes to the bank because they got a $500 mortgage every month and they can't rent it for $600. So what we're offering the people that are in our investment group in this hedge fund that we're building is long-term sustainable, more real estate backed investments. And the trick for us is we're counting on the properties doubling. We're counting on the properties tripling. And, you have the rule of thumb of the 1%, and I like to use that too. And a lot of people don't understand that of, I want 1% gross back against my initial investment. So what happens when we get into those situations and then it triples, like I had a house in Inglewood, I paid 118 for it 5 years ago. Now it's worth 380.
Wow.
And I put 45 grand into a garage. So I'm into the thing for 160, something like that. But it was renting for 950 a month when I bought it for 118. So I
Wow.
was in a good spot. I was like at a 0.9.
I mean, that's terrific numbers.
Well, but now I'm getting 2,500 a month for the thing, and I'm into it for 160.
Wow.
And that's where we want to put our mentees at. Now, is Oilton going to triple? I don't know. But what I do know is that there's a lot of people in Denver that I'm in contact with that are saying, screw this. I mean, a starter home is $400,000,
Yeah.
and when we can advertise to them, look, we can not only sell your house in Denver for $500,000, we can move you out to Oklahoma and we can buy 3 or 4 houses for those proceeds. You can live in one and be completely paid off. And then you can rent the other 3, which we'll put in under management for you. And, now you've got 3 streams of income coming in at $600 each. And you're living in your own paid off house. And then you got your $2,000 a month coming in for your Social Security, and you and your wife can live a nice, comfortable life in rural Oklahoma and wait for, Medicare or whatever. You can go work at the Walmart or whatever you want to do, but you've got a stream of income coming in and your assets are going to work. Where right now, these people got a $500,000 paid off house. They paid 110 for it, say. And now they got a paid off house that's worth $500,000, and we've got a 401k that's got $500,000 in it. So we're a millionaire. We're a Dave Ramsey millionaire.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? We can't touch either of these things because we're 59 years old. And the taxes and the insurance keep going up on this house I'm living in. We're paycheck to paycheck and we're millionaires. So you and I offer them a different way to go. And then we sell their house here, and then we put them down in Oklahoma.
Yeah. No, I think that's because I know I can find, like I said, any given within about let's say a 45-minute, let's call it an hour radius of Tulsa. And it's really less than that mostly. I know I can find houses, good homes for less than 100,000 that can rent, baseline in 600. You start getting up a little bit, it's just like, what can you get out of it? Maybe you might be able to get 750, 8. There is a certain point where it's like in Oilton that I know that you can almost like, no matter what you do to a property, it's not going to be worth. You're not going to get, like, as far as rents, you're not going to get it over, 700 or 750. Just usually, that's just usually how it works. Is like, this is the most you can get for it. Now that might change.
No, that'll definitely change. That'll definitely change, and especially as you have a flight out of these people, and I'm going to say blue states. I'm not political at all. I don't care. But when you take a look at a Denver that has become more like LA and more like Seattle than, Oklahoma. There's people that the cost of living is so high. The crime has been increased. They're looking for a place to go. Okay. Yeah. So, we build that bridge for them to move to those new places. But, that's like the second half of the watermelon for us. But that's that flight of people, like it happened in Austin, Texas. The same thing happened. And now the prices in Austin, Texas and the surrounding areas are going up. And same thing's going to happen in Oklahoma, Tulsa. And I love those little dogs, by the way. That doesn't bother me.
Oh, thank you. I don't know what they're barking.
Not bother me at all.
They bark literally any noise ever. My wife will be coming home pretty soon.
I love a dog. I love a dog and little kids. Whenever I'm on a Zoom meeting, I want to see a little dog and a little kid and a little grandbaby or whatever.
Let's see if I can get one of them. Come here, boss. Come here. Come here, boss. Come here. This one. What are you barking at? Come here. Come here. Get up here. Oh, this one will come to me. This is Boone. He's a little sheepdog. He's awesome. And then I've got this other little, I don't know what he is. He's like a little Aussie mix. It's my wife's dog. I had a chocolate lab that I got as a puppy, and I put so much effort into that dude. I was teaching him all kinds of stuff, and he got out one time and ran out to the road and got hit, and I was so sad.
My God.
Yeah, it was so terrible. I had to put him down, actually. He was going, and it was really sad. But yeah, he was my little pride and joy for a while.
We got a little black lab at our house, and
labs are my favorite.
She rules
breed.
the roost. She
should. Labs are my favorite breed. I just love them to death. They're my favorite. But yeah, no, I think we can. Really
picture this, and because I think that there's going to be people that are migrating that way, and they're going to raise the prices.
Yeah.
So as far as our investment houses go, we're counting on keeping them nice and stable. They're not making a huge return, but they're taking care of themselves, and everything's working. But then as the prices over the years gradually go up, we're going to hold all of these houses in 5 years, and they're going to double. So now where we were making, $300 a month, now we're making $6, and now we're making $9. And then all of a sudden, wait a minute, it becomes, really fun when we grow them, like I did in Inglewood.
No, I think that's definitely doable, because the more people come in, the more it's going to raise your value. And it's
absolutely.
And it's starting, right now values are being raised because of just things in general, like, the house shortage. Like this guy, I don't know if you heard me talking about this. This is my wife, by the way. I didn't introduce you to my wife. She just come in. This is Mark. We connected off TikTok. We're gonna have a little venture going.
I saw you in a house video.
She did see me. You did see her in the house video.
Oh yes,
nice
I made
a
brief appearance. Nice to meet you too.
She'll come.
Nice to know his nonsense is paying off.
I know it. I'm like, someone's gonna put up with that. I guess it must be me and the rest of TikTok.
Hey,
that's exactly right.
We do what we can.
Absolutely.
But anyway, so this guy that I have this house, like a purchase contract. I'm representing the buyer in Oilton, and this guy. So we got this appraisal back, and it came in really low. Contract was like 147. He listed at 150. And so I was like, listen, my buyers want this place. They're in it. So we've been dealing with appraisal issues, and I remember telling him, I said, "Hey, have you ever invested in Oilton before?" He goes, "No, it's first time." I said, "Okay." I said, "We're probably going to have some appraisal issues. Just heads up." I told him this back in February. I said, "We can deal with it when we get there, but I just like."
And this is
very hard.
You're talking to?
This is the seller. This is the seller.
Okay.
So actually, what's interesting is I probably got a client off of this guy because he's got it listed with some like weird brokerage, like they take 1% or whatever, and she's like out of Dallas, never been to the property, just doesn't really know. She's incredibly hard to get a hold of. Like no one has her cell phone number. She uses solely like this office number. You can email her, and she usually gets back to you fairly quickly on email, but it's like when you need to get a hold of somebody, you want to get a hold of them.
Right.
And so to like show and all this other stuff, we were able to like contact the seller himself. And so I've just been basically just dealing with him, and he's really turned out to like me a lot. But I pretty much, we get this appraisal back, and I pretty much say, listen, I said, it's low. It came in $20,000 low. 125. I said, I know that's like, oh my gosh, that's $20,000. But I said, I'm looking at this appraisal report. The appraiser did not like skimp on value. Like he went 25 miles out to find a comp. So he was really trying to find the value. And I said, at this 125 purchase price, this is the most expensive home that is sold in Oilton proper, in the city limits, since that I know of. Like before that, there was a 3,000 square foot house just about that sold for 120, terrifically remodeled back in this a couple years ago. There's another one that's going to sell for 135, but it hadn't closed yet, so they can't use it as comp. So I said, you're really going to get terrific value. So I looked up what he bought the place for. Bought it for $32,000. The guy did not put much into it. I said, what do you got into it? 20, 30? He's like, yeah, about 30. So I said, even at 125 and let's take out 15,000 for all the commissions and closing costs and all that stuff. And then he's paying some closing costs as well. I said, you're going to net about $50,000 on 2 months. He bought it in November. And it was under contract in February. So I guess it's 3 months. I said, that is a slam dunk in Oilton, Oklahoma. Like, really just crushed it. Like, he didn't do much to it at all. So the guy, I think, he's happy, and he's going to make quite a bit of money from his, not a huge investment. So there's definitely some really cool things going on,
Well,
but like your value, like
picture this. How do you get your internet? Are you
in Oilton or in Oilton?
Wherever.
Are you asking how I get my internet in Oilton? Just
or wherever.
AT&T in Oilton.
Okay, because there's a lot of high bandwidth options that are coming out with dishes, and Elon Musk has come up with a thing that is going to allow for a satellite thing for $100 a month to give us passable 50 downstroke and 25 upstroke or something like that. But just imagine, the situation where, that little house that you were at with your wife today, $250,000, and I can find us a couple here in Denver that are remote workers.
Yeah.
And we're like, hey, tell you what, we have this place for rent for $2,300 a month, and you can get high-speed internet. You could do your website designing business, and he can do his HR planning business or whatever. Everybody's working from home now, so you're paying $2,500 a month for a 1-bedroom place here in Denver.
Go
How
pay
would you
that
like this mountain chalet on land for the same price?
Yeah, go pay that for 3 acres and a beautiful little home.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's like, holy crap, we work from home anyways. We don't care. So there is a lot of things that are opening up for us in this business. And I've got the same thing that I've got going with you in Ohio and the Kentucky border. I've got it going on in North Carolina. And, there's pockets around the United States where there's still good 1% gross cap rental, possibilities. And when we have that, and then we market the thing, set up a management company to where now we're employing the painters and the carpenters and all these other guys, we start those companies and we give we take a rip off of all the repairs and all the, the roofer or the floor guy or whatever, concrete guy. We start putting all that together in our little ecosphere, like you said, an hour around Tulsa. Mm-hmm. So now, we're putting all the pieces together and we become our own customers. We're the own investors. What I like to see you do is whenever you and your wife can, you know, you take a founder share on the house and you're running things and watching. And of course, you get a rip on your real estate thing for doing that side of it. But, you know, I'd like to see you guys say, oh, look, we're throwing in for 10%. We want to put 65 in the deal. So we've got 15% on this house, and then the next one, 25 or whatever. And you're building up your little portfolio as we go along. And eventually there's going to be a website that's a members only website, and people have to qualify to invest with us, because we're going to be given monster returns backed by real estate in an inflation rich, you know, marketplace where nobody else can offer this to them. I mean, the stock market is trash, and, you know, the bank's not paying you any money. So it's either safe or really risky, and you could lose it all. I mean, we're saying, hey, good, solid investment, returning 5+, approaching 10, you know, in 3 to 5 years. I mean, it's magic, but you got to play ball with us. You got to learn our systems. You got to educate our young investors. You got to take part in the running of the entities. And so what I'm going to do is I'll have a website with vetted investors that learn our program, deal with us. And, you know, we Zoom meeting with everybody that's going to be in on a project. And so then you find your little house. And there was one the other day, I didn't mention anything on your Facebook post, but it was some little house and it was 60,000 something.
Was it, did it look like a metal building?
I don't remember. No, it looked like a little cottage of some kind, but it was 60,000 bucks. But picture this, to start off.
Yeah.
To start off, I want to do one of these houses a quarter. So we're going to start off with this little $50,000 place on First. And that's, you know, I've already got that filled. So I'm going to have a website. And then what we're going to do, you and I will pick the next one and say, this is the next property. Here's all the details. Who wants in? And then these people are automatically jumping on it. And we have, you know, 2 investors that do 30% each, and then 2 babies that do 10%, or 3 babies that do 10%, and then our founder share, you and me, for 5% for free. And when that fills up, then we find another one and put it in, till eventually I'd like to be doing one of these a month.
Yeah.
And we got a house deal going once a month. And, you know, after a year, you and your wife are going to get a free house out of it. A half of a house that's, you know, free.
Yeah.
And you're going to be closely into that network to where you guys can start fractionally investing in these houses yourself, along with me and Luann and my kids. And we all kind of support each other. And then that's how we build that wealth.
Yeah.
What do you think?
No, I think that's, I like it. Like, that's explained pretty well to me on, which is kind of what I was, you know, mentioned. Like, I know that this stuff works, and I just didn't have like the exact mindset to wrap around it as far as the numbers and how they broke out. But I think that explains it quite a bit to me.
Well, my main goal is not to make money for myself necessarily, although as I'm mentoring you younger people, I have to keep making the money to prove that I'm the real deal.
Yeah.
You know, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because, you know, the other thing I can do is just buy $400,000 more property for me, live off the income and hire a manager and be done with it. Then I can go donate, you know, my time to the church and coach and minister to people and help them. But, you know, I want to actually get in this financial dirt with everybody. I want to get in the, you know, the educations, because nobody teaches these kids in school how to balance their checkbook, how to get out of debt, how to make sure that you buy an income producing asset. Don't buy a new truck, you know, get your debt settled, pay your credit cards off, You know, buy your new truck with your income off of your rent houses that you have.
Mhm.
You know, and if you have enough of your income producing assets, guess what happens? You don't have an asshole boss that gets to say something nasty to your wife. You say, honey, you quit. Go to HR and tell them that that boss is being mean to you, and you quit. You know, and chances are that mean boss is going to get fired only because we're financially able to, you know, rise up against that and not be scared if we lose our job, we're going to get kicked out of our house.
Mhm.
You know, and those are the things that I want to do for the young people, for, you know, my kids and my grandkids and people like you and other people that I run into that, you know, along the way in my businesses that I've adopted as my, you know, foster children. And I bitch at them about their finances, but you know, that's a double-edged sword. You know, if Big Papa's on your side, you know, that's a good thing, but I'm also nosy and getting in people's business. You know, if they got a car loan, I give them a bunch of shit about it, but it's a positive thing in the end. So, you know, that's pretty transparent look at what I'm doing. And Kaleb, I think that you are, you know, the type of guy that I think can do the other end of this with me. And like I said, Andrea Dillard is my real estate agent.
Mhm.
And I talked to her and I said, look, I'm doing some investment with this kid in Tulsa area. And I said, I want to kind of get started with him, but I want to be transparent and upfront with you. I mean, she's my gal and she's, you know, I'm really interested in her, but you know, I said, here's what I'm doing with this guy. And she said, well, anything underneath $100,000, just do it with him. And then you can do your stuff, other stuff with me here in Norman. And so I think that what we're going to say is, you know, you're more Tulsa and rural and more in the $50,000 to $100,000 range. And it doesn't mean that things won't mix up, but I just, you know, I'm the type of guy that nobody could ever say that I was dishonest about anything and that I never, oh, well,
Yeah.
you didn't say, you know, what are you doing? You know, I would rather approach it from, hey, we're together. Let's grow together, you know?
Yeah.
And so you're my guy.
Awesome, man. So do you, so are we, because I think we can get, if we're in on this, you know, if we're in on this Oilton deal, I can, I think going in at 40 or 42 is the way to go. And then, like I said, get it negotiated up to somewhere between 45 and 50, be honest with
Well,
you.
here's the deal. I think that on this first deal, I'm a cash buyer.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, we can go, you know, and let me talk to my wife and make sure that she's on board with all this. And I'll just make sure and get her approval before we do anything. But
Mm-hmm.
like I said, she's stressed. But what I think I can do is I think I'll buy the house personally. And then after the dust settles, then we'll form an LLC.
Put it in an LLC.
We'll put the house into the LLC. And then the members of our corporation pro rata their shares will have ownership. So as people pay me, they'll buy 30% of the corporation or whatever, and everybody will own a certain part of that company, and we'll have a partnership agreement that describes everybody's behaviors and how everything works, and you know, that'll transfer that ownership to you and your wife of your founder's share,
Mm-hmm.
your 5% founder's share, and the responsibilities that go along with that. And we'll make sure that everybody knows what's going on. And we'll kind of use this first one as a way to kind of document how it works and go
Get all the
through it.
kinks worked out. And
Well, and then we'll
figure
pick out the next house, and you know, depending on what we got to do to get it, you know, we might do the same thing. Who knows?
yeah,
But you know, it might get to the point where you know, our investors are so used to it. You know, we'll be like, hey, Caleb and his wife want 2 shares plus the founding share. Mark and Luann are taking 2 shares, and then everybody can just deposit into escrow their money, and then we'll just go buy the house.
yeah,
And then figure it out. But you know, I think you're going to be really valuable being on the ground and be able to, you know, if we run into one that needs a rehab or something, you can kind of, you know, work with getting that done. You know,
yeah.
general contractor over, you know, hey, get this thing painted or get the whatever done. Am I reading your mail?
No, yeah, you definitely are. I can, because I mean, I've got guys around town in Oilton. You know, I've got a few guys, Tulsa area as well. I mean, I've got a plumber who would pretty much, you know, do anything I asked.
Good.
Even, you know, he lives in Claremore. He lives almost an hour and a half away. But I mean, I sold him a house, and I think today it's the truest 0 down deal I've ever done. Like, he was on a USDA, put $500 up for earnest money, at closing got $500 back. It was an incredible deal. It was structured great. Sellers paid for closing costs. Like, they were just ecstatic. They didn't think they could get a home. So he loves me to death. In fact, I had him on a deal. He started his own plumbing company. And so he's like, hey, he goes, I'm not quite you know, licensed yet or whatever, but whenever I do, I'm ready to, you just give out my names. And I called him one day and I said, hey, I kind of have an emergency. It was just something real stupid. There was some cap on this seller's house, and the buyer wanted to scope the property. Seller didn't want to pay to have the plumber. It was just a whole deal. And I was like, can you help me out on this thing? I'll take care of you. And so he's like, hey, I'll just go do it for free. Don't worry about it. Which, you know, was really impressive to me. So I was like, wow, that's really awesome. So he, you know, did it for free. I went ahead and took care of him. I made him like t-shirts for his business, whole deal. And I sent him so much business. Like, he called me one day. He's like, man, I just got to thank you for all these leads and these referrals you've given me. So like, every now and then I'll text him. I'll say, hey, I need, like, you know, a plumbing question answered. I gotta, you know, like, hey, how hard is it to do you know, a concrete pan or something like that? And he's like, you doing one? I said, yeah, thinking about it. He's like, well, I'll come show you how to do it for free. Just, you know, like, he's just itching to do something for me. So, you know, I know
it's all about relationships, man.
Mhm.
And the more that we can, you know, build those relationships and helping each other out, the more blessed we all get. And that's my whole way of life now is, you know, I look for a kid like you on TikTok, and I'm like, man, I want to bless that guy. I want to build something around what we're doing and get all my people involved, you know, and I do a fire hose into a teacup of all these people with money in Denver into your area that, you know, is, you know, we could just own that place. I mean, you know, we take over the whole town, you know, and we keep the places nice, and you know, everyone knows if they're looking at one of our Hope for Home rental properties, then you know it's a good deal. You got to get qualified, you know. And some people that come to us and they can't pass the credit, we'll have an online course they can take and get their credit boosted up. We'll give them some free financial classes, get them ready and get them going, and then maybe when we have another house down the line, they'll qualify, you know, and we'll help train them. And you know, it's all that kind of thing that you start building up over time. And, you know, my wife and I'd probably say 80% of the renters that leave a house from us say the same thing to us when they leave. We didn't want to go. We had to because of X. needed a bigger house, take care of my parents, needed to go for a job transfer or whatever. But they say, we didn't want to go, but we love you guys.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay, we love you back. You know, we have relationships with these tenants that, you know, it's not like a landlord tenant thing. I mean, we love them. We want to take care of them, and they want to take care of the property. And you know, my people that rent my houses, they take care of it like it's their own place. They're up on the roof with a leaf blower, and we go by. I mean, they take care of these places. So even though we charge a little bit less than market, you know, these houses are really well taken care of, and no fuss, no muss as far as renting them.
Yeah,
So
I think that's where it. I think that's important. I think that's awesome.
all right, buddy. Well, listen, I'm not going to take any more of your time in the evening away from your wife, but super, super glad to, you know, get our thing together. And the fact that you're a movie star and you were on set all day today and you spend a little time with an old man, I really appreciate, you know, you making some time for me.
Hey, I was I view everything as some kind of lead generation.
No, I like it.
I'm in there. Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing? And I'm like, one thing I have noticed about actors is, their drive is I want to be a celebrity,
right?
Which I don't respect actually. You know, with the TikTok and everything, I actually don't respect that at all. It's like, oh gosh, you could do so much more with your life, but like. No, I was laughing though. Like these guys, I was like, yeah, you know, just talking to everybody. But I'm sitting there, and this guy comes in, and you know, he just he acted like he's supposed to be there, not like everybody else. And I looked at him. He walked in. He said, "How are you doing?" And I said, "I'm doing good." I said, "You doing well?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm doing good." I said, "You look important." He goes, "Oh, me, no nonsense." I was like, well, you know, why are you here then? It turned out this guy is, you know, he's the main editor for this whole series. I was
Gotcha.
like, yeah, so you are an important guy for this thing. And he's like, yeah, you know, man, whatever. He just kind of real humble about it. Seemed real nice guy. But I get talking to him about real estate. And he's like, what do you think about some rentals in Midtown Tulsa, or like, the Gilcrease, Midtown Tulsa area? I was like, he's talking about that, and he's like, is the place going to be gentrified? And I was like, I think in the Tulsa area, you're right on par. I said that in Sand Springs area is, on the up and up because of, X. So I just kind of, gave that dude my card, and, who knows, maybe he'll want a rental or something. But yeah, that's how I do everything. Just, yeah, who can I meet today?
That's perfect, man. That's how I am.
Yeah,
and my deal is I get up every morning and I just thank God for another day. And then I say, tell me who I'm supposed to go help today. And then I try to listen to where my direction is coming from. And then I end up in the weirdest places, man. I mean, I end up in some pool hall, and I'm like, some guy wants to meet me in some pool hall, and then he starts talking to me about, hey, will you support our boys club thing that we're doing? And I'm like, sure, I'll do it for you. What do you want? And then, oh, by the way, we got 25 Jiffy Lubes in the area that we want you to, do the social media marketing campaign.
Wow.
Would you donate part of that fee to the boys club?
Wow.
Yeah. And we said, what do you think about 5%? And I say, well, what do you think about 25%? And he's like, deal. And I'm like, what am I doing in this pool hall?
That guy.
I end up in this weirdest places, but I don't question it. I don't, why am I supposed to be watching this, kid in Oklahoma on TikTok? I mean, it's weird, but why am I here? Well, talk to him, find out what's going on, And
I know whenever I first started, and even still today, it's funny. I remember praying. I say, Lord, give me, more clients than I can handle. That was a prayer for a long time. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, because where is that level? First off, is like, you know, where is that you can't handle anymore? And I always have noticed that when I do pray that prayer, it does not take long for me to be like, okay, I'm not praying this at the moment. Like,
Right.
you know, it's like, oh gosh, you know, so you're talking, you know, for me, it was less than probably 3 or 4 weeks to go from, you know, and I guess, you know, a lot of it could be the time of year and stuff, you know, slow as far as real estate goes, but I can't, you know, I
Let me
mean,
tell you something. From a guy who's been doing marketing for, you know, going on 40 years probably, before the internet was invented, I was marketing. And I'm telling you, you keep doing exactly what you're doing. Keep involved in your community. Keep, you know, showing these people value and doing the things that you're doing with your media stuff. And, you know, you're absolutely going to be the authority in your industry, in your area. And, you know, it'll be so organic that nobody can ever shut it off.
yeah.
Ever. I guarantee you that. And you know, one of the things that as we get further along, we'll want to get you your own domain,
Mm-hmm.
because you're going to want to have your own domain, kalebwright.com or whatever it is. Look on GoDaddy and, you know, secure that name, buy it. It's $18 or something like that. But when we're ready, you know, we'll do your brand, you know, realtor and, you know, entrepreneur and philanthropist, and what your charities are, what your hobbies are. We'll put your weightlifting things and your health things on there, and we'll create that whole brand for you outside of just one company, outside of the investment company we're going to build, outside of your Keller Williams. You know what I'm saying? Because a young guy like you doesn't want to be locked into just Keller Williams. If they're treating you well, great. But if
I actually probably am gonna get out of Keller Williams pretty soon. Honestly, I was planning on doing it back before I got super busy. I was trying to do it in March because I like my sister-in-law. This is why, or one of the reasons. My sister-in-law and brother-in-law are, you know, I have them under contract right now for a house, but they were looking, and I was like, oh, and they're looking in the Oklahoma City area. And I knew it'd be a lot easier if I had MLS access. So I call my broker and I was like, hey, what do I need to do to get my Oklahoma City MLS access? I'll pay whatever, you know, I don't care. Let's get going. And he more or less said, no, because we would have to join an association, all this stuff. And I was like, well, I sit in the middle of 3 markets in the state of Oklahoma. I sit in the middle of Tulsa, actually more than that, because there's all these different like little MLSs, but Tulsa, and I'm an hour and some change away from Edmond, which is arguably the most expensive real estate in the state. You know, you got Edmond, Norman's popping too, but those 2 areas. And I said, there's no reason for me not to go both directions. And he was just more or less like, no, you just need to refer it. We don't need to get in there. And I really didn't like that at all, because I'm a go-getter. I want my footprint, you know, as big as I can. So I will probably jump to EXP.
well, just remember, we want to have, you know, you with your managing broker or whatever your company is, but we also want to concentrate on the Kaleb brand. You know, we have your own website. I can have one of the girls at the agency do it for wholesale. I think $300 is what it would cost you, and you do your own presence, and you always own your own skin.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to markhope.com, you'll see what I'm talking about. You know, you should be Kaleb at kalebwright.com, you know, or as close to that as we can get, you know, and we'll just continually stack up all those achievements in your life till finally it's, you know, when you write your book, that's on there, or when, you know, whatever your media is, that's a central warehousing of all that media that will be real estate. Maybe it might be something else. You know, it might be, you know, whatever it is, but we want to make sure that we're building up your brand more than somebody else's brand who doesn't even care enough to buy the Oklahoma subsidiary subscription. I mean, that's crazy. And it always amazes me. How do you lose a good sales guy? I mean, if I was your boss and you were hitting the ball for me like you are, I'd be like, what do you need, bud? I mean, whatever it is, go out there, you figure out what thing we need for the office. I'll buy it. Just send me the link. I'll buy it. And then you buy yours and whatever you need. I mean, we'll do whatever you need. You know, as a matter of fact,
that's what I
you're
was
in charge of that. Just do.
That's what I was surprised at. I'm like, really? I was like, you're well, the deal with that is like, Keller Williams is pretty political because they have their franchise. They don't want to step on people's toes and blah blah blah. So that's fine. I'm not going to allow my business to suffer because of that. So I will, go do something that allows me to have a larger footprint.
Well, God answered your prayers and it's me. So get ready. Get me a price on what you think we ought to do on an offer on that house. Let's talk tomorrow and we'll fire it off.
I'll give them a shout in the morning and see if they've gotten any offers. I assume they have not. At this point, it's pretty early with them. So, I'll give that a whirl and then I'll give you a buzz tomorrow.
Well,
see what they say.
If you like what I'm talking about, and I'm going to send you this collateral that I showed you on the screen today. I'm going to send that to your email so you can kind of look that over, but you understand where I'm coming from, right?
Yeah, I understand how you do your breakdowns and your numbers. Yeah,
and
we
don't really want to make any money in the first year. We just want to fill up the escrow accounts, and all that money will belong to the investors pro rata, but we'll have our taxes paid for next year. We'll have insurance paid. We'll just organize everything so that when we do start doing quarterly distributions out of the accounts, everything is all, organized and paid for. Super transparent. And one of the things that you and I'll do as founders and managing members is I'm going to have to coach you on some of the stuff, let's make this PDF file and send it out to the group and make sure that we're being good stewards of their money. And I think you're going to have a lot of fun with it.
No, I'm excited. I think it sounds like a lot of fun.
And it sounds to me like maybe you're getting involved in some commercial stuff too.
Oh, I sold a commercial property to a guy who wants to turn it into a residential.
Copy.
So I mean, he's getting a steal of a deal for it. He's getting the highway frontage with a parking lot and a building for $70 grand in Drumright, which is small town next to Oilton. It was listed at 109 or 105, something like that. And he's like, "Hey, I want to put an offer in on this place." I was like, "Okay, what do you think?" And he's like, 70 grand. I was like, I just kind of chuckled and I was like, okay, whatever. He's been a pretty good guy. I like him a lot. So I'm like, all right, yeah, whatever you want. We'll throw it in. And when the listing agent called me, he's like, "Hey, you guys got it?" I was like, no way. I just could not believe it. So, So, I mean, it's not.
Imagine if we bought one of those properties and put a car builder into it, somebody that builds muscle cars or whatever. And it's like, you don't need a big city around you. I mean, everybody's mailing you your parts. And then, we sell the cars on the internet. So when one's ready to go, we say, okay, well, we'll pick you up from the Will Rogers Airport, drive you out to Drummond or whatever, and pick up your Camaro, or we'll have a car service, send it out to you. But I mean, it's that kind of thinking where we flip a script with people and it's like, hey, why not cut your costs and keep your profit? $70,000 to own a car lot. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was a county health center. So they had it set up as like a doctor's office. So you're talking metal building. So there's no interior structural walls. So essentially you can make it whatever you want.
That's awesome.
Water, bathrooms right there. You can adjust. It's probably with square footage. It's probably a 2,000 square foot place, maybe 1,500 if on the lower end. But
70 grand.
70 grand. Yeah, it has a parking lot on it and everything. Not a huge parking lot. Not a huge parking lot, but
10
it's still.
cars?
Pardon me?
10 cars?
Oh yeah, 10 cars. Yeah.
Unbelievable, man.
Yeah, 70. Picked it up for 70 grand. I was like, my goodness. And there's initially I was like, that'd be a great place for a dispensary. There's already 2 in there anyway, which is just that those are popping up everywhere, but they're going to be shutting down too before too long. I hear there's some more regulations coming down. But yeah, I mean it's really wild, in those towns. Like there was a place, and I almost bought it. It was almost my first investment. Was these like attached buildings, like it's got an older downtown, so you got all these older brick buildings.
Live
this
work
one that
type of deal.
Yeah, needed a lot of work, but they were selling it for $10,000. And I was like, ooh, that could be good. And I was like, starting to think about it. Talked to the code guy. I said, hey, this is an old building that's set up for it's set up for an old, like, oh gosh, like multi-use place. So there's an upstairs and there's like a storefront. I was like, can I convert that storefront into a residential? Because my whole thought was I could set this up, have a hallway going, turn it into a fourplex is what I was thinking, is have a hallway down one side of it and then have your rentals, back and forth. He's like, oh yeah, no worries. I got into a little deeper. There was a little bit more structural issues than what I could handle. Especially being my first deal. I was like, that probably isn't what I need. But I was like, man, I mean, if you could buy it for 10, it was completely, it was a full gut job. Let's say put 150 into it. Now you're 160 into a 4 unit that, again, let's say it gets, $2,000 in a month, $500 a unit. Like, I feel like those are good numbers. And there's a little leeway there.
Your 1% rule, and that's what you want to do.
Yeah, you got $40,000 leeway there. Like maybe it takes 175 to fix it. Well, you're still in it 185.
Well, I could tell your thinking is spot on. With the thumbnail 1%, what are we doing? It's just, and I told some of these investors that I talked to about this little house deal. I told them, he was saying, well, what about the estimate on the rental or whatever? And I said, look, my guy in Oklahoma is the one that told me the range, and we'll get on a Zoom call and we'll let you talk to Kaleb, and he'll tell you why he thinks it'll go for 600 and why not, what the comps are and all that kind of thing. But you guys are all going to be learning all of this stuff that, the other guy knows, so is there a perfect formula? No. Is there a promise that it's going to rent for 600? No. Here's what we think it's going to go for because of this information.
Yeah.
And then we're going to go to the marketplace and we're going to get it rented to the right people.
Yeah.
And if we try to put it for 600 and we don't get any response from the people that we want, guess what? I'm gonna rent the thing for 500. Till I can get that little school teacher that wants a place to live while she pays off her student loans for the next 10 years. I'm telling you, I'm gonna make sure that we make a good customer a client. And then 5 and 10% escalations every year after that. And it's her house. She loves it. Can I build a chicken coop? Yeah. Let me see the plan first, but otherwise, make it your home. So
yeah. No, I think it's I think it's ready. Like I said, I know I mentioned to you, I was like, it might even go for 650 with, that's optimism, of course. That's optimism.
But that doesn't hurt our feelings either.
Yeah. Like, you know,
Guys,
because
you know,
one,
God love 'em.
there's not really much to rent there in town anyway. As far as homes, like
But you
they're rented.
hope for the best and plan for the worst, you know?
Yeah, they're rented. You know, there's nothing that says, hey, it's a, 2-bedroom, 1-bath, but it's a fully fenced yard, large, fully fenced yard, and it's got a detached like shop garage on it. Okay.
Well, and
So,
you know what I've done here in Denver is I rent out the garage, the detached garage separately in a lot of cases.
okay.
The front of the house has a little driveway that the tenants are parking in. And I say, well, you can have the place for, $600 with the house, or $800 with the house in the garage. Oh, we'll
Yeah.
just take the house. All right. Well, then I put an ad in for some guy that makes furniture or whatever. I put a fence around the entrance to the garage, and now he's got his whole furniture making shop in there for
Well,
$200
here's
a month.
that's the whole angle I didn't even think of. So there's actually an access road on the back side of that garage. So you could essentially split that lot almost right down the middle. And then now you have, hey, you can, rent this garage out or whatever that looks like. That's a whole thing I didn't
think
about.
of your plumber. Hey, how'd you like to rent this garage for $200 a month? Keep all your plumbing parts in there. You can go get them, load your truck up, and keep your stuff in there.
Yeah.
Landscaper guys, everyone's looking for that. Your family's in that rental business. You know how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when we get an opportunity to have a rent house, it doesn't mean that we've got to just block ourselves off. Like, let's say we get a small rent house on a big property, say it's 2 acres. Well, we subdivide that with an access road so the renters have their place, and then the access road goes to the back of it, and we put like a 5,000 square foot pole building back there, and we let a little local business run out of there. They're making wicker baskets or whatever the hell they're doing, and now all of a sudden, we're getting 10x, not just 1x, because we put a building on there and then, made that happen. The whole time it's all safe, and there's no land, there's no loans or anything on it. So there'll be a lot of really creative, neat things that we can do. And I know how to make money. I know how to market things. You're sharp as a tack as far as your area and what you're doing. And I'm going to have a lot of people that trust us as a team. And, just go over it with your wife and talk to her. And I'll send you a clip of this on YouTube. I want to make sure, because if I'm in business with somebody, I'm in business with their wife.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about it. So I'm a real family oriented type of guy. You were listening to my wife in the car the other day. We have to make sure that she feels okay with what you're doing as well.
Yeah.
Because that's important. But I think I'll, if nothing else, I turn into a really good customer. Even if you don't want to take the owner's share, you don't want to participate in this, I'll buy houses from you and put them, into my program, and we'll find somebody else to manage them. But if my intuition is right, you're probably want to open up another stream of income in addition to just selling the houses.
No, absolutely.
All right, brother. Well, listen, I'm going to let you go, and give me a call around noon tomorrow and tell me what you think the battle plan is.
All right. I'll talk with you tomorrow, Bob.
All right.
Did that again too. I'm sorry. See you later, Mark. Bye-bye.
Yeah.